Welcome to the 10th episode of the Exponential Creativity podcast. I'm really excited and happy that I made it through like 9 episodes and that I'm sticking to this. And I'm not going to talk much about it. Let's just jump right in. Okay, so I want to become an animator, right? The reason behind this is, okay, why do I want to become? I have this desire to bring my thoughts into reality, in a creative way. So right now I've been able to do that through music, although not in the best of ways, but in the limited technical skills that I've gathered and what I want things to sound like I always am in this struggle of, making it sound like how I want it to sound like. Today I see that the world is going towards like a video direction. I have seen myself reading books, but the only reason I ever read books is because I probably saw somebody discussing a particular idea which made a lot of sense to me. So I was like, okay, let's read the book. Maybe there's some more things I could learn from this. And so that has been my experience. So it was only because I could see a video, I don't have the patience to kind of go through reading a lot of blogs and stuff unless I'm really like looking for something. So that's when I realized that. And even whenever I've like written any song, I've always had a visual component in my mind, like maybe a music video, like a dance video or something, and things like that. But but then I have to like kind of, tell that desire to kind of go down, because I have to now ask somebody else, like another animator, to animate it for me. And then I have to pay that animator, because obviously they are putting in their time and effort and they've learned so much. They deserve to get paid. It's just that I don't have any money. So ideally I would love to work with other animators and people who are competent in this domain, and I will try to reach out to them. I will try to make some animation friends, and hopefully I can help them through music and help them in whatever way I know I can, and they could help me with my videos. So yeah, that's kind of where this desire is coming from, of becoming an animator. And I started this journey actually because of Photoshop. So I'm gonna be graduating from school, from Musicians Institute, in another 10 or 14 days. And I have learned a lot in the school. I'm so glad I came. And honestly, when I came, it was more about like just a means to probably stay here. But I have learned so much, and the things I came here to learn, I didn't learn a lot of that. But the things I didn't come here to learn, I learned much more from that. So this must be like visual media, or production stuff, or marketing and music business, artist identity and branding, and a lot of different kinds of things. This was the start of where new things started becoming possibilities, because once I knew some more information, I now could combine that information with other stuff that I already know. So it started with Photoshop, and I saw a friend of mine, and I want to talk about this friend. He's going to come here in a couple of days. I'm really excited. I don't really like him, but I also like him. To be very honest with you, I'm a little envious or jealous of him. So he's coming here. He's coming to study. Now, Now here's the thing. He was supposed to come to school 1 quarter after I came to school. But then the whole pandemic thing happened, and then he was stuck in India, and then he was just staying there and doing his thing. What I saw him do is he learned animation in that time. He got a cheap animation like this drawing tablet from his friend, and he learned how to use Photoshop, and got like some attachments for it, and then he wrote the whole song and he put it all together, and he animated the music video, and he did it all by himself. Like, of course he had like a little bit of help. He was asking people how to do it, but the process of doing it himself was amazing. And now he's just that time of not being able to come here, he gained a new skill completely, and I think it's going to open a lot of doors for him in the future, because not only is he a good looking person who I think could be a good actor, but apart from that, he's also a drummer, he's also a guitarist, he's also a singer, and he's also learning animation, so now he can bring his thoughts to life. And then I was like, dude, I'm probably smarter than this guy. Then I should probably also know how to do this. So I guess there's also one part about that. But yeah, I honestly, I've always admired people for different things, and that is something I really admire him for. That he took a bad situation and he turned it into something so positive, and now he's actually making bank with the animation as well. So I think a lot of different factors came to a common meeting point, and that made me feel like maybe I should also learn animation. And again, I am this person who maybe talks a lot, so that's why I decided to put that to the test, and I did do a couple of animation projects. I put a little bit of stuff on my Instagram and stuff. Not really, it was just some sort of a thing to show that I am doing this thing. But yeah, like just that action shows me that I was interested, and that I took some action and I learned some things. Anytime you do something, rather than just talk about it or something, there are things that you learn. Maybe there's a new shortcut that you learn, or maybe there's like a new way you move your hand, or you just become more efficient with things. So my goal I'd say is to become this. I don't know who I am, because I'm interested in so many things. Like if I had to list down all the things I'm interested in, I am interested in education. I really like teaching people what I know. There's two benefits to this. One is that I myself am able to understand the flaws in my own knowledge, because there's some answer that I don't know, and then I have to find that out. And the other thing is there's something called the Feynman technique, in which essentially when you teach a concept again, you become more clearer about it. So maybe you teach it to yourself, teach it to somebody else. So I'm interested in education, I'm interested in animation. I really enjoy performing. Now this performance can be in many sorts. This can be maybe stand-up comedy, this can be just playing music and entertaining. And people don't know this about me, but as a child I used to dance, and I really enjoyed that a lot. Over the years it's not happened as much, but I definitely am interested in that domain as well. I was on this TV show in India, and they had called me back in the final round to come and perform. They never aired that bit, but I really enjoyed it. Like there were like 4 backup dancers with me, and then I was like, they gave me a bunch of steps to learn, and I remember I was sitting like all night, or both those 2 nights I was like practicing in the room, for like I don't know, about 6-7 hours, and I got really good at it. And I remember I was singing and I was dancing and doing these kind of things with the girls who were around me, and it was very, very joyful. And I saw, like, this is something that I really enjoy, that whenever I do something, I'm always looking at people's eyes, and there's this moment where their eyes go, it's like they realize something, or you've made them see something that made them feel a certain way, and that feeling feels really nice. I don't know what that's supposed to be called. I'm sure there's a name for it, but yeah, so even busking, right? This is why I enjoy busking as well. I love playing guitar and bass, and I love learning new instruments. I love production, and I love spending time alone. So it's I am a lot of different things, and so is every human, and it's just anytime I look at somebody, and they say that they're just one thing, they're not just one thing. There's so many things you are that you can be, and yeah, and it's a long life. I'm really starting to realize how long of a life this is, and how much I can get done if I just get started. Like, think about this YouTube channel. Right now I have like 123 subscribers, and I don't have a lot of videos on my channel and stuff like that, but my intent is to grow it, and I'm definitely going to be much further ahead in that domain, unless if I started a year later, right? And of course, I can always think, oh, I wish I started at the age of 18. I wish I started at the age of 15. Well, maybe certain things were not in place to make that decision. So that's kind of why I want to learn animation. Now, since we are talking about animation, I want to talk about this week's sponsor. Okay, this is not a sponsor right now, but I hope that I could, hopefully get their sponsorship, because I genuinely think that what they're doing is a good thing. There's this company called Skillshare. Okay, now what is Skillshare? Skillshare is essentially a place where you can learn, and you can learn on YouTube as well. You can learn on YouTube. It's just the entire thing about Skillshare is you have a feedback loop. So, for example, let's say you make something and you put it on that class. So you have to, you get a feedback, or other people will critique it. So that's one good thing. And another is each class is geared towards you finishing a certain project. And this is what I really like, so one of the classes which I took was by like 2D animation by Johannes Fast, I think. And in that he teaches like three concepts. I think one was a bouncing ball, another one is a walk cycle, and another one is boiling text. Now, I have done the bouncing ball and the boiling text, but I haven't done the walk cycle. But I need to do that, So, but yeah, like the whole class was made in such a way that I had to learn how to animate a bouncing ball and make some boiling text. And you know what? I'm gonna let's see, open another tab and see if I can find the Instagram page. Okay, so here you go. This is my animation page. It's nothing really. That was one of the things I made. And then this was kind of cool. Again, I haven't made the assets. So what an asset is, like, you see this triangle thing or the ship thing, it's already made. I just had to program the movement. This was kind of cool, where now you see the windmill, and then I ended up locking on the wrong layer, and so I got this. So that was kind of cool. And yeah, like the same with the bouncing ball. It's, as you can see, it's not proportional to time properly, but and I saw this like blob moving back and forth. So yeah, like, and this was the boiling text one. I like the colors. Yeah, and he's the guy, by the way, you know, who's taught this to me. So essentially, that's what I learned from this. Now, what I wanted to talk about was, at the start of this, was the 12 principles of animation. So I'm gonna start off with the ones I know, and then we'll go from there. So exaggeration, secondary motion, you know what, let's just put that in numbers, right? Squash, I think, squash and stretch. Anticipation, I think. Of course, we'll Google this and see, but I'm gonna try to think about all the things I know. And this is exactly what I'm trying to say. The Feynman technique. You see how I thought I knew the 12 principles of animation, but I don't. So let me actually open up my notes here. I remember learning about this. Where is it? Animation. Nope. Don't have it here. Okay, let's just Google that. Open a new tab in another window. Don't want you guys to see something you shouldn't. 12 principles of animation. All right, here we go. Okay, I'm gonna try to explain these as much as I know, and then we're gonna use one of these to talk, like use that to like make something new. So squash and stretch was essentially how a ball, you know, each thing has a particular property of squashing and stretching. And if it's like a ball with less air, so it's gonna squash more, it's gonna stretch more. If it's a ball which is like really hard, it's not gonna give. So that squashing and stretching in a visual sense gives a sense of its rigidity, you know. Anticipation, yeah, this was like right before somebody jumps, somebody just doesn't jump either, you know, they go back and then they jump. That's anticipation. Staging, this I don't remember. I don't know what this one is. Straight ahead action and pose to pose. Oh yeah, this is like you know, I think when you're making animations, let's say you're on the first frame and the 24th frame, you make the first animation and then you make the last animation, and then you just kind of make it move through that. So it's like a linear thing. But if you go pose to pose, you're kind of setting different points where there's a certain pose that you want to get to. So it's like moving between that. So I think in the video that I was like in his class, he was talking about, he was essentially saying that straight ahead action and pose to pose, that all animation is a mix of both. You know, you'd say that this is the starting point, this is the ending point, and then in between you'll have many poses, key poses, which that character has to get to. So now you have to figure out how that character is moving through those poses, you know. Follow through and overlapping action. I don't remember this, but I'm gonna see if I remember it. I don't remember this. Slow in and slow out. Yeah, this is like when things are starting out and like slowing down. It's like a ball falling. Like, it doesn't fall. It slowly falls and then increases in speed. And once it hits the ball, the ground, it squashes slowly, and then it takes some time and then goes up faster. So there's a slow in and slow out process. You shouldn't have just like straight movement. It should be like gradual and then fast, and then gradual and then fast, kind of like that. Arcs, I think that could be explained in you know, this thing that I was earlier showing. This is not exactly a good example of arcs, but let's see. So if you see this thing that I've made, and at the start you can see a couple of lines, I was essentially kind of putting down these markers of arcs. Like, it is kind of following an arc. It's not good animation by any means, but it's a start, is what I'm trying to say. So that's what arcs are, you know. Secondary action. This is essentially action which is done on another part of the body or somewhere else to highlight the primary action. So I think he had explained it like somebody playing a video game, but he's so anxious that his leg is also moving. So that secondary action is highlighting the game movement as well, or the intensity of focus. Timing. I don't remember timing. Exaggeration. So this is one of the things that they do in animation and caricature is, see, as what I'm looking as is a normal human, but if I was exaggerated in some way, things give a more elevated sense of emotions. And if this exaggeration is taken too far, it seems cartoonish. And if it is done reasonably well, it seems realistic, you know. So it is a choice. It is a creative choice. Do you want things to feel like organic, or do you want them to feel cartoony? You know. So it's a choice, and it depends like what kind of music, what kind of colors, and what is the story that you're trying to portray, and what is the kind of feel that you're trying to go for. Solid drawing, I don't remember, and appeal is also something I don't remember. So if I had to think about all of these things, I remember squash and stretch, anticipation, staging, I don't know. Yeah, this is really like a technical thing. Follow through, I don't know. Slow and slow out, I know. Arcs, I know. So let's write down the ones which I know. Yeah, so out of the 12 I just know 6. That's okay. I'll probably, after this podcast, I will investigate and find out why did I forget. And I probably need to animate some stuff to get more clarity in this. So I was thinking of this idea of like a principle of animation mixed with a virtue, you know. So so let's talk about virtues. What are virtues? Virtues are, I think, like, I don't know the definition, but it seems like a virtue is something like what is a virtue? Like patience is a virtue, courage, right? These are not morals. Let me see. What are virtues? Okay, behavior showing high moral standards. Huh. Interesting. Okay. I didn't think it was like a religious thing, but okay, you know what? It's okay. So virtues. Let's talk about cleanliness. Okay, I see a virtue here, just cleanliness. How would we show the anticipation of cleanliness, you know? Cleanliness. And you know, this probably could be shown as the whole room is a mess. Oh my god, I need to clean it. I can't focus on my work. And so you could show this by somebody working but really being stressed out and hating everything around them, and like things are falling down, or these file cabinets, or like these bunch of books that they have stacked up, or these cobwebs have been growing everywhere, and this uneasy feeling that's coming in, and they just leave the whole place and they go somewhere. That could be one way. Or another thing is like, you know what, I need to make a change, and now they get out of their chair and they're like cleaning the whole apartment. That could be, that's I think pretty vanilla. Let's talk about patience. I don't know why I was thinking about patience. Patience and secondary motion. It's kind of interesting. Like lately, I've been observing people a little bit more than just their face and what they say. So in my observations, I've realized that people who you're talking to, if they have like some sort of, you know, leg movement, or their hands are moving, or they're doing something, it's showing some sort of impatience, you know, that they are not completely immersed, and they want you to kind of get to the point faster. So, and I've noticed this about myself as well. I think I'm a very impatient person. So anytime somebody's talking, and if they're not getting to the point fast enough, I find myself being very, very impatient, and you know, I'm like, I can't focus anymore. So so secondary motion would be like shaking legs. For me, was one thing I've noticed, or like somebody scratching their hands, maybe. I don't know. I need to make more of these observations to see what are some of these things. Another virtue I'm reading up here is, let's say, wisdom. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always trying to seek wisdom, and it's been a hard journey, but because of the internet, it's becoming easier. And again, like, I think wisdom is more of like, they'll show you the way, but you have to kind of implement it and see for yourself. That's what I like about these practices, is if it doesn't work for you, you know, probably it would have worked a couple of years back, or maybe you've not reached a point where it will work for you, or you know, whatever is possible. You know, you can't say anything for sure because there's still more information to be gained. So what would wisdom look like in arcs? That's a cool one. Wisdom and arcs, right? I could also think about it with a perspective of time. A temporal aspect is always fun, guys. Like, you know, you always implement this. You know, my whole life, there were moments in my life when I wasn't as wise, or not seeking wisdom as actively as I'm seeking it now. And I wonder if it's a product of time, or with time I mean age. Of course, age is it's comparative or dependent on other people. I mean, it can be if you want it to be. And in my life, I have lived that way, but now I'm starting to step away from that, of, depending on that number as where I should be in life. Because I've realized that it might be the bad part about that, of not following that age pattern, is you probably might take about 10 or 15 years to get somewhere. But the more important thing is you'll probably explore and find all the things that you find fascinating, and you'll have a better understanding of what you're doing. So anything that you do will just have that much more conviction behind it. So it's wisdom. I'm trying to be wise, but how long am I going to keep searching for this wisdom? But again, it's a virtue, like, so it's just you pursue it all the time, of sorts. So how could this be represented in an animated sense? I mean, I can think of stories, but now this is where things get really cool. What if we spliced all of this information with artificial intelligence? One of my favorite topics, right? So what if we program artificial intelligence to be not only wise, but also impart wisdom in terms of age or in terms of psychological growth, right? What if we program the artificial intelligence to have uncleanliness so that it values cleanliness, and perhaps there is a point to uncleanliness, uncleanliness or living unhygienically, because once you experience hygiene, you know what's the difference, and there's this thing about like living in chaos, like when things are all a mess around you, it's like all a mess, but then there's like a moment when you see all of it connect. That's the creative endeavor. So there is some point in living in chaos, like you've heard of order and chaos and order. It's like when everything is chaotic, you find a way to be orderly, and when everything is in complete order, something will come and it'll throw the whole system in shambles. And I sometimes suspect if in order to maintain an equilibrium, people who maintain order purposefully create chaos just so that there's an equilibrium between the two, such as the nature of life. So if things get too orderly, I wonder if some people, like if there's a underground establishment that purposefully creates this chaos so that people end up being like falling into place of sorts. I don't know. So far things are not looking so good. I'm not so happy with what I've come up with so far, but let's keep trucking. Why is it that I'm not happy? Probably because I want to talk about something more interesting. And this topic is color. Okay. Now, when I was learning Photoshop, and again, I never looked at things this way, but these concepts, are not just limited to Photoshop. Once you learn them here, you can use them in music. You can use them in your life when you're walking around. So many things. So the influence of color and what I learned through Photoshop. So there's contrasts. If you want something to pop out, you need it to be in contrast with something, because our perception in general is always comparing. When you go on social media, you're watching all these people, and some people are living terrible lives, some people living better lives, and you're feeling either good or bad about yourself, and that is only happening because you're comparing them to you. But there's the contrast, right? If everybody's feed looked the same, it probably wouldn't be interesting to even watch the the thing. So color, when it comes to contrast with color, there's obviously the first thing I think about is contrast of color. But there's more types of contrast. There's transparent versus opaque. There's there's this thing that he was teaching is like contrast of fonts. Another thing was size, so large versus small size. And space, positive space versus negative space. And yeah, so essentially these principles of contrast really bring a new sense of like life into anything, tall versus short, fat versus thin, in this like talking in terms of characters, fat versus thin, nothing is absolute, because like if you say something is on one way, there usually is another way of existing. Like life and death, right? There is no life without death. There is no death without life. How do you know somebody is thin? Because somebody else is fat. How do you know somebody is tall? Because somebody else is short. And of course, we are comparing in humans right now. But what if you start comparing with trees? What if you start comparing yourself with animals? What if you start comparing yourself with mountains, or you start comparing yourself to the cosmos? Compare yourself with the atom. So leads to a lot of contrast. And I was watching this video, which was essentially about how different sorts of colors have a sort of aura about you, and I mean, I lately, I think I'm becoming a little bit wishy-washy. So I was like, okay, let's see what this has in store. So I read it, and it's essentially this is what I learned through the wishy-washy process, which was white is reflecting, so nothing sticks to it. So this means that you gather nothing and everything is reflected off of you, and you also don't learn anything. So that's one good thing and a bad thing. So if you just want to live like a simpleton, white is something good. And if you want to also not have negative influences on you, you also wear white. So this was quite interesting, because then I started thinking about my own lifestyle, and I was like, I wear black all the time. Today I'm wearing purple or violet. I don't know. I think it's violet. I think it's violet. And I usually wear black. And then essentially now I'm wondering, like, what does black mean? Well, what I read about black was it is a color of absorbing. And it makes sense, because if you think about it, I remember when I was a kid, I mean, we talked about this concept of solar cookers, right? And the inside of it was painted all black so that it absorbs all the heat. And the mirrors were placed in such a way that all of the sunlight was being focused on a singular point where you'd put the food, and that's how you'd cook the food. So black, it is a absorbing color. So this is it is an absorbing color, and what this means is if there are positive influences around you and if there are negative influences around you, you will absorb both. So if you are going in a place of learning, this is probably a good color to wear. If you know you're going to go into a positive environment where there's a lot of things to learn, black is a good color. For positive spaces. Unfortunately, this is not unfortunate, but it's just the nature of it. If it's negative things that are around you, you absorb that as well. So, and then I started thinking about, oh, what's up, bro? All right. So, and I started noticing this about myself, like I've been wearing black a lot over the past couple of months, I think over a year or so, and I have been very susceptible to everything, and I've been absorbing things on a whole other level, but at the same time I have also absorbed a lot of bad things. So that's why I think I've just been alone. I've been figuring myself out to ensure that if by myself I'm in a positive environment, then I can now when I go outwards, I can figure out which environment I'm in, and then which was a cool idea, which brings a cool idea for color changing clothes, right? Maybe there should be an invention about this, something like you could change the color of your skin or the color of your clothes to match the aura that you have around you, the aura or the state of feeling that you want. Of course, in real life, it could be a sense of awareness. One thing I'll say is, like, this did sound very wishy-washy, but I'll also tell you one more thing. Like, I've also been busking, and while I was busking, I was wearing a white suit with red splatters of blood on it. And I'll tell you that when I'm wearing black, nobody looks at me. When I'm wearing black and I'm going anywhere, people are least interested in what I'm doing. And I really like that, because there's this sense of anonymity, and once you're wearing black, you can really observe things without people noticing you. And on the other hand, if you are wearing something like white and with red, so exuberant and so vibrant that everybody's looking at you, and so I've noticed this firsthand, how a change in what you're wearing has an impact on how people perceive you. Although I don't look at people that way, but now, and that's probably why I never figured this out, but I'm kind of trying to get more in touch with other elements of living rather than just thought. So yeah, like white was one of the colors. Black, red is a vibrant and this color, like a color of love, hate, and just strong emotions, I guess. And blue is the color of all inclusivity. So somebody who's wearing blue is trying to be inclusive of everybody, and so on. So yeah, this was just an interesting thing that I came across, and then I started thinking, like, what if you could have sort of a, like, I'm learning music production, so what if there was like a color element to it? that that a reverb which has a decay, what if we could have a color reverb, right? Maybe this could be a new attachment in Photoshop where you pick red, but you pick the reverb, and then when you paint with red, you're actually creating a video file. So the second you paint it and you've applied that plugin, when it's being viewed, that picture is now sort of a video, because you can now see the temporal aspect. So time-based effects, you know. What if you had a sort of automation on the color? You know, so automating is like once you've recorded everything, you're kind of increasing, decreasing levels, changing pitch a little bit, or maybe adding or subtracting reverb from the thing, or adding delay, whatnot. But over the track it is changing. So maybe you could have different pixels automating, you know, and I guess it's an sort of animation, but I'm not exactly talking about animation here. I think I am talking about animation. Is just a plugin to do it, and I think that different way of looking at it would perhaps lead to new possibilities, you know. So what are some other time-based effects of a chorus? What would a color chorus sound like, or look like? You know, a chorus makes things like, a chorus is essentially I'm singing something, and then there's one more voice of me and another voice of me, and all the three voices are being sung together, and then they're not singing exactly the right way, so it kind of gives it a feeling that there's more than one person singing and a group singing. Well, what if that could be shown in color, but as a plugin? So when you're drawing in Photoshop, you could just, you know, color with let's say blue, and you've taken a particular shade of color, but you apply this plugin, and now it has a temporal aspect where it's taking the same thing and sampling it a little before and a little behind, and then you kind of see how it's mixing in. Again, there's many more things that need to work in tandem with this, but I think it's something new. You know, I think that there's something new here. I just had an idea which I just completely lost. You know, color chorus, reverb chorus, reverb color. I don't know. I think that there's something new here. What are some more effects? Delay. I'm thinking of time-based effects. Let's think of equalization. Right? Now, equalization is essentially, you know, when you're making a track, you mix the lower frequencies a certain way, and you keep them there, and then you mix the other frequencies in different places, so that each instrument is occupying a particular frequency range, and that way it can be heard the clearest, and also it's not clashing with other instruments. So you know, if you hear old music, you'll find that it's hard to listen to certain instruments, but in today's music everything feels like, oh, I can hear all of it at the same time. This is because of equalization, because each instrument has been given a particular frequency range, or multiple frequency bands, you could say, where you know, they are being heard clearly and they are not clashing with other instruments. So that's how equalization has helped listen to every instrument as clearly as possible. Now, what if this sort of equalization had to be applied in Photoshop or in color? What would that look like? Equalization and color. I think in order to think about this more clearly, let's talk about color a little bit. Color is made up of three parts. One is hue, saturation, and there's one more. I know there's one more. Let's find that out. Color is hue, saturation, and luminance, I think. Okay. Hue, saturation, and luminosity. So hue is essentially the color, right? So this is like red. Okay, that's the color red. But if you increase the saturation, it becomes like really bright and vibrant. So we picked a hue. Again, we could have picked green, we could have picked any color. That would be like the hue. But saturation makes it to be like how much black or white is there in it. I think I need to get these concepts in my head a little bit more clearer. Like, I know hue is the color itself. Saturation is how much of it is there and how little of it is there. And luminosity is more of like bright and dark. So yeah, this. So now how could you equalize each of these aspects? Or that, and actually now that I think about it, I think this particular aspect exists in Photoshop, because anytime you scan a picture, it does create this sort of a graph of colors. So I've literally spent an hour not doing anything new, just rediscovering something. But I think there's some cool concepts like reverb and color, or delay and color. I think time-based effects is something that is not explored as much. So yeah, I think compression is something that has been explored. But yeah, time-based effects, maybe not so. So that would be interesting to see how that would work. And yeah, so I hope you learned something. At least not all the principles of animation, but 6, which is exaggeration, secondary motion, squash and stretch, anticipation, slow in and slow out, and arcs, amongst 6 more. And yeah, I want to take a step away from all of this and just take the next 7 minutes I have to talk about me. This is all about me, right? I have been setting goals, and I kind of keep, going from one place to another and whatnot. But this is something that I honestly want to achieve. Is I want to be able to do a pull-up, right? So, and I do go to the gym from time to time. So I was thinking if I could keep a track of my goals at the end of each podcast, and hopefully this inspires even you guys to keep a track of your goals, because I could be wishing for a lot of things, but what substantial progress have I made? And I have a habit tracker and stuff, but I keep going back and forth between those things. But my goal is to be able to do a pull-up. Right now I use those assisted pull-up things, and I literally use 100 pounds 110 pounds actually, which is about 50 kgs of support. So let's say my body weight is about like 85-ish or 80-ish, I don't know, and I'm using 50 kgs of support. So I'm literally just lifting 30 kgs up. So I want to keep decreasing the support, and eventually one day I'll be able to do a pull-up. So I thought I'll keep telling you guys about these kind of things. Another development for me personally has been I want to do a lot of things, but now that I'm graduating, I'm really focusing down to just 2 things. Actually, it's just one. I'm gonna make animated music videos, you know. Now, I don't know how long each of these are going to take, and that is a scary bit, but I definitely want to be able to do this because I want to express myself in every artistic way possible, that not only depends on music but also, you know, through a visual medium, and I really enjoy it. So one scary thing about this is I don't know how long it takes. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna graduate soon, and I'm pretty much done with all my finals and stuff. So once I get done with that, I am going to sit every day and work on all of these things. Like right now I'm learning about animation, you know, I'm making music, and in the podcast I'll discuss about what are the things I learned at the end of the podcast and stuff like that. And hopefully what I've realized is maybe the first couple of times you don't know how long something takes, but eventually you get a good grasp of how long it takes to do something which you already have done before. A good parallel example for this would be like, think about how long it takes to eat something, right? And because you've done it so many times, you know it's not gonna take that long, or depends what kind of a meal you're eating, or brushing your teeth maybe, or maybe, you know, taking a shower. These are things that you've done so many times that you know how long it's going to take. So perhaps I just need to do a lot of these things, and hopefully I'll get to a point where I know instinctively how long everything takes and how I can make things make processes efficient. Anytime I do something, my problem is I always keep asking, is this the most efficient way of doing it? And this is something I need to constantly remind myself, is that the efficient element comes in later. The first element is to get started and get things done. So that's what I would say for any of you who are on this creative path. Just start doing it. It does get easier, you know. I can say the same thing for writing jokes. I remember when I first started writing jokes, I'd be like, how many jokes can I write a day and stuff? And then I finally hit like a place where I kind of had a system in place, and you know, I was just writing jokes all the time. I remember I was like writing jokes for like I think 4 or 5 days continuously, and I wrote about 80 jokes, and some of them are really good. And I was running these off of my friends and people who I know, and then also busking on the streets, so that, you know, I'm not getting like a lopsided view. And that's one more thing I realized, like, don't run stuff off of people you know, which is okay, you can run it off of them, but also run it off of, you know, people you don't know. And that way you get like because the person who doesn't know you has no obligation to support you in any way, and that's the beauty of it. So if it's good and if you impress them, there must be some merit to it, you know. So, and that's another reason why I don't like marketing so much, because I want to know that is the idea really good, or was it just marketed well, you know. So I've always been in this place where I think about marketing, and I think about, you know, dropping money to, you know, market something. But then I also think that if it's really that good, wouldn't people who I know share it? I don't know. Maybe YouTube will help me with that, or, you know, nowadays you have like hashtags and stuff like that. So you don't necessarily have to rely on friends and family or the people you know, but also the algorithm, and if you know how to do that, you can find the audience that you want. So it's not all bad. So yeah, that's a couple of things. Like, I guess the last thing I'll say is, like, I have my final project due in like 2 days, actually at the end of this week, and I need to like record like a lot of stuff. So I'm gonna be focusing on that over the next couple of days, and have the updates. But yeah, I think this being the 10th episode isn't what I expected it to be, but hey, this is exactly what the creative process is like. Sometimes you try stuff and it works, sometimes you try stuff, it doesn't work, but the important thing is that you try it. So I encourage you to try. I was also thinking that at the end of every episode I'll give you like some actionable thing that you could probably try out. Maybe not this one but yeah, that maybe I should write that down. Give the listener one actionable advice. I have seen the merit of these things, because I could tell you a million things, but how are you going to implement it? So I'll give you like one thing that you could apply, and if you just apply that one thing, you've become a little bit smarter. So I have helped you in some way. So let's make up an actionable advice for this. Okay, this is what I want you to do. I want you to pick a virtue. Okay, and this virtue can be anything. Go Google it. So do that. I want you to pick a virtue, and I want you to pick a concept or a principle of animation. Combine them together and see what comes. Now, the beauty of this is, when you combine this, you're also combining this with your life experience. So, you could probably combine this with your mom, or combine this with one of your friends, or what you think they are, or some anger or hatred, or some sort of emotion, and see what comes off of it, right? So that's the actionable advice. I want you to pick a virtue. I want you to pick a principle of animation, and see what comes of it. And if you don't feel so scared, and if you embrace the creative process, drop a comment. I'm one of those guys now. Comment in the section, guys. Anyways, thank you so much for watching, and have a beautiful day. I hope you live a very creative life, and I'll see you in the next one.